Welcome to Awake to Oneness Radio. I am Caroline Chang, your host. The mission of Awake to Oneness Radio is to inspire the world to awaken to the universal truth of oneness. Science is now teaching us that all life is interconnected and interdependent. And spirituality and ancient wisdom has been teaching the truth of oneness for eons. So in truth, what you do to another person, you're literally doing to another aspect of yourself. And when mankind awakens to the universal truth of oneness, there will be peace on earth. Today's show topic is Permission to Mourn with Tom Zuba. Thank you, Tom, so much for being my guest on Awake to Oneness Radio. And I was just going to say, the wonderful thing is I met you in person a few weeks ago at the Helping Parents Heal conference. That is where we met, and I have got a signed, autographed copy of Tom's wonderful book, Permission to Mourn.
I am so grateful to have this opportunity to speak with you. I love the theme, the intention, the mission of your show. I am right next to you. I am right next to you. Yes, yes, yes.
Yes, yes, yes. And it was, I know this because I've experienced you. I got to experience your keynote on that Saturday evening and got to ride along with you to a wonderful party, and we got to really chit chat and so I'm like, we're right here. We're right here. So that is why I'm so excited and so thankful that you're here with us. But now I know I've gotten to know you, but I want my audience to get to know Tom Zuba. Please share.
Okay, I'm going to give folks the thumbnail version of my story, because while my story is important, it establishes who I am. What's really, really important is what I've learned from my story. So I want to begin by saying, I believe that words have power.
Yes.
And with intention, I open my book with these words: I am an ordinary person. I'm just like you. So whatever people see in me, the only reason that they're able to see that is because they possess it as well. I want to make that really, really clear. So I've had a really fascinating life. I am living with the death of my little brother, Daniel Patrick. He died in 1963, the day after his baptism. I was 6 years old. It was my first experience with what I call an intimate death. I'm living with the death of my 18-month-old daughter, Erin. She died really, really suddenly on July 18th of 1990. And I want to stop for a second. I don't love the word death, because it's really clear to me that not only doesn't the essence of who I am die, but our physical body doesn't die, because matter exists. It just transforms. So I want to make that really, really clear. I do use the word dead and death, and I will explain to you why later.
Okay.
I am also living with, I'm going to choose another word. I'm living with the passing of my 43-year-old wife, Trici, who passed really, really suddenly on New Year's Day of 1999. Interestingly, it wasn't so sudden to her. Above and beyond the five senses, not only was she aware that she was getting ready to exit her body, but she prepared us in a million different ways. My kids were 3 and 7. She and I had 2 more children after Erin transitioned. There's another word. So Trici left her physical body on January 1st of 1999. My boys, Rory and Sean, were 7 and 3. Fast forward, when Rory was 13, in the summer of 2004, he had, I wasn't sure what, it was either a seizure or a stroke. I really couldn't tell. And a biopsy showed that he had glioblastoma, which is a terminal brain cancer. So he had the seizure in August. He was diagnosed in November. I'm getting to the good part here.
Okay.
And on February 22nd of 2005, it was really clear to me that he finished everything he came to the planet to do. He dropped his physical body and he returned home. He went home to Source, to God, to the all of the all of the all. So I haven't had a tragic life. I've had an amazing life. I've had a fascinating life. In a way, it's been an unbelievable life. And I'm grateful. I'm really, really grateful. My son, Sean, is 23. He just graduated from college the day before Mother's Day. Interestingly, his major is special ed. My major was special ed. He lives with me. He hugs me. He kisses me. That's who I am. That's my story. To me, what's more interesting is who I've become, what I've learned, what I teach, who I am now, who I continue to be as I expand on this planet.
Yes. Oh, it's so wonderful. I'm so thankful you said what you said about, first of all, you opened with words have power. And that I'm a strong believer in the words that, and I, and most of my audience knows, I have a son in spirit, and I always use the word transition, and I know he's not gone. And I was blessed to know that at the moment of his transition, which is a blessing, because not many people really have that peace. In your case, you didn't get to have that peace of mind at the moment each of your loved ones transitioned. And I was blessed to have that because I witnessed a miracle before. But that I say that I want to start with the words have power, because when you and I met, which was really interesting, we were sitting next to each other at the table, and you had mentioned to me, oh, you'd like to be a guest on my show. And I jokingly said to you, you have to be nice to me. I was joking, but then I didn't know who you were. And then I looked down as I was walking away from the table. I looked down at your book, and it's a mission to, and I'm like, okay, the word that jumped out to me was mourn. Like, mourn. Nah. And the same thing happened. I had to share this with Elizabeth recently, that when I first learned of helping parents with helping parents heal 3 years ago, from one of my very first guests, Anne Pierre, who wrote the book Stephen Lives. And she first told me about helping parents heal. Now, I didn't get involved with helping parents heal 3 years ago because of their tagline, which was bereaved parents. I'm like, nah, I'm not a bereaved parent, and I didn't mourn. I mean, I miss my son's physical presence, of course, but I didn't mourn his transition. So I'm so glad. But so my experience, I saw your book cover, and I'm like, that word mourn doesn't resonate. That was my first thought. Then I listened to your keynote the next night. I was like, oh, he's got it. So I got to get the book.
Let me explain something to you.
Yes.
I know exactly why I came to the planet. I mean, I'm really, really fortunate. I am grateful. I'm grateful that I did not have the experience that you had. I'm grateful that you had the experience, because It's important that people know that what you experienced is possible. That's important. But I'm really clear. The reason that I chose to experience my 2 children and my wife's transition the way that I did is so that I could become a teacher for the masses. Because in 2018, the majority of people, based on my experience, do not experience what you've experienced. It's like we haven't expanded to that point yet. So my gift to the world is, yeah, you know, I've been there. You know, I've considered suicide. I have been at the bottom of the deep, dark, hopeless pit. You know, crawled my way out, not once, not twice, but 3 times. As a result of that, I'm able to teach what I teach. And as you and I have discussed, we're in alignment, you know, we're in agreement. We just got to it from different paths.
Yes. And in truth, I actually have both sides of the story. So, because even though I have one son, I was told before he 2.5 years almost exactly, that he was going to transition, and he didn't. I experienced a miracle. And from that miracle, when he actually did transition 2.5 years later, I was at peace. But when doctors first told me, and this is in December of 2011, and I share this with my listeners, I experienced one of my favorite Christmas movies is Miracle on 34th Street. He was in a hospital on life support for 5 weeks in a hospital in Philadelphia on 34th Street. Doctors asked me, can they take him off life support? He wasn't going to make it. I said, absolutely no. And I knew exactly what I was going to do. I was leaving this world before him. I was not going to bury my son. And I wrote that in a suicide note. I went up to a private waiting room. I wrote a suicide note. I am not going to bury my son. My son is going to bury me. And I took a bottle of over-the-counter sleeping pills. That was the strongest I could find. I didn't have a prescription. So I took a whole bottle, and I was out for like 2.5 days. I remember briefly coming to in the ER, briefly coming to in ICU. I'll never forget the moment my son's internist was standing at the foot of my bed, and he said to me, Kyle needs you. And so the miracle I witnessed in December of 2011 is Kyle pulled himself off life support. Literally. He's semi-sedated. He's sedated. He pulled out the ventilator. He pulled out the feeding tube. His vital signs were perfect. It was a true miracle. And because I got to bring him home December of 2011, I promised God I would never stop thanking him. For I don't know what was going to happen the next day. I mean, he could have transitioned the very next day. I didn't know. But I made a promise to God because I was able to bring him home and celebrate the new year. I brought him home December 30th, 2011, the day before New Year's Eve. And I got to ring in 2012 with my son at home. I was so thankful for that. So when he went back into the hospital 2.5 years later, that's why when he actually transitioned. So I experienced him transitioning before he actually transitioned. So, and then was blessed with a miracle. So and like you said, we each have, like we were at that conference, Helping Parents Heal, with over 500 parents that have experienced, and each one has a different journey, has a different story. But yes.
Let me ask you this. I'm curious. You have a really strong response, a really strong reaction to the word mourn. So how do you define mourning? What do you, when you see the word mourning, what do you think of? And what is your strong response about?
Okay, well, basically, it wasn't a strong response. It was just that the word mourn didn't resonate with me. Just like I said to Elizabeth, the word bereaved didn't resonate with me because I never considered myself a bereaved parent. And I've never mourned Kyle's transition.
So when you say I've never mourned Kyle's transition, explain to us more about that. What is mourning Kyle's transition? What does that mean?
Okay, I guess that because at the moment of Kyle's transition, I knew number one, he wasn't gone.
Right.
I knew he was just his body, and like you said, even science tells us everything is energy, and energy cannot be destroyed. So even his body, which is going to decay, it's going to flourish into something else. It's going to transform. But I knew he was not his body. I knew he was a soul. So I knew that his soul was not going anywhere. I knew this was a soul agreement that he and I made together. And I knew that he would always be with me. So those three things I knew at the moment of his transition. That's why I can say I was at peace. So because I was at peace when he actually transitioned, now I wasn't at peace 2.5 years earlier when I tried to take my life, but I was at peace at the moment of his transition. I never experienced mourning.
Yes. Okay. So what I would suggest is that first time that you tried to kill yourself, it's like you were given an opportunity to learn at light speed. And you said yes, 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 yes. So you expanded so much that by the time he did cross over, you responded to it in the most expansive way, in the way that we're all being called to. You know, you're the light, you're the possibility, you're showing us what the next step is for all of us. Does that sound right?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, to this second, I cannot ever forget the miracle, because I mean, it was a medical miracle, it was a physical miracle, and I whispered, because they had me after my suicide attempt, they had me on 24-hour suicide watch. They had me on the psych ward on the top floor. They always put the psych ward at the top floor, and he was down on the 8th floor. They let me visit with him. He's still on life support because I never gave permission to take him off. So he's still on life support. They let me visit him. Now, the last time I had a visitation with him under those conditions, I whispered in his ear. I said, Kyle, get better so we can both go home. And that was the night he pulled himself off life support.
So let me ask you this, for all the people that are listening, and they said the same thing to their child or their husband or their wife, and their child or their husband or their wife or their sibling or their parent, they did make their transition. It's like, why were you so lucky? Why were you chosen? Why?
Well, I kind of just like what you said about your journey. You know that was your purpose, to bring to the world the gifts that you're bringing. And 6 months after Kyle's transition is when I got the inspiration to launch this show. And it was to me, my mission, I knew my mission was to inspire, because all I can do is inspire the world to awaken to who we truly are, who we truly are. So I believe my journey had to go that way so I can bring that message.
I think it's really, really important that we both underscore to the listeners, it's not that life loved you more or that life loved Kyle more. You know, there's nothing special about you. There's nothing special about Kyle. It's that it's a mystery in a way. And, you know, yes, this is your soul agreement. Life loves all of us. And some people, you know, have your experience and some people have my experience. It's neither good nor bad. It's neither right nor wrong. It is what it is, as we were saying. And it's about, this is how much we're loved.
Exactly. I agree with you 1,000%. And I say it's not, from my perspective, there is no good or bad or right or wrong. There's no wrong way to mourn. There's nothing wrong with the word mourn. It's just every word has vibration. And there even words that have, and even the vibration is higher or lower, but it's not, higher or lower vibration is not better or worse.
Yes.
Everything,
Yeah.
everything is equal. It's all equal.
Right.
Yeah.
And for folks that will read my book, I define mourning as identifying what's occurring inside of us. And rather than stuffing it and repressing it and pretending and numbing it, that we get it up and we get it out, we get it up and we get it out. So the way that I use the word mourning, mourning is the path to healing. Mourning is actually glorious. It's action. Mourning is actually vibrating at a really, really healing level. It's all about perspective and understanding and intention.
That's so true. Very true. Very true. I, as we were talking about before we started recording, the isness of it. You're saying you're in Florida and I'm in Pennsylvania, and
I'm in Florida right now, but I live outside of Chicago. I live in Rockford.
Right. But where you are right now, in this now moment where I am right now, it's raining and drizzly and cold in both places. And we're on the East Coast, but on opposite, I'm Northeast Coast, you're Southeast Coast. So, but we're talking about the isness. So and I always say from my perspective, because it is from each person's divine perspective, because we're all divine light, and from my perspective it's all neutral. It's how we perceive it. We label things bad and we label things good. So the transition of a young person, we label bad, but from the soul perspective, they went right on time, right on schedule. That was their soul's plan. In
every choice, in every moment, the choice is either peace or pain. The choice is love or fear. And we are loved so much, we get to make the choice. I've been given free will, so I can peace, pain, love, fear. And the beauty of my life is I have suffered so much, I don't want to suffer anymore. I'm going to choose peace. I'm going to choose love.
Exactly. I truly believe we all have that unique journey to go through. So wherever, and this is another thing I say a lot on my show, wherever a person is, wherever they are in the grieving, mourning, if they can't get out of bed, wherever they are is perfect. They're in the perfect place for them.
Yes. And what I've learned is pain is not to be avoided. Pain is a gift. Pain is the door that we can actually enter to get to peace, because we experience pain in the present moment. We don't experience it in the past. We don't experience it in the future. We experience it here and now. And here and now is the point of power. So pain grabs my attention and I can go, I'm really, really feeling pain. Thank you. I am going to move in a different direction. I'm going to shift a little bit and I'm going to choose peace. I'm going to choose love. I'm going to walk through the door of pain to choose peace and to choose love. That's the blessing of pain.
That is so true, is what you just said, because from the soul's perspective, we planned these challenges. We planned them before we came into this incarnation, and our biggest challenges are our greatest blessings. And I know from the human perspective, people are saying, okay, we're both crazy, people that are not understand, that are not looking from the soul perspective. They're saying, from a human perspective, who would choose to have your child go before you? Who would choose? But we did. We chose it, and those are our greatest blessings, because they open that door. They're the greatest thing, the greatest blessing to push us through that door to remember who we truly are.
Yeah, I want to stop us for a second, because we both agree that words have power. Yeah. And we tell ourselves stories about everything. And many of our stories are rooted in subconscious beliefs. And all of our painful and all of our peaceful beliefs, all of our quote good, all of our bad, all of our positive, negative, all of our beliefs need to be questioned, need to be observed. And one of the things that you said was, who would choose to have your child go? And I would say, is that true? Did our children go?
Right. They're not gone. This is true.
No.
They're
They
not
they
gone.
left their physical body. You know, they did a little pivot, but they never left us. Our
They never.
children are not gone. Our parents are not gone. Our spouses are not gone. I mean, you know, the energy of words is that important.
That's so true. Exactly. Exactly. And that is why when Kyle actually transitioned, I was at peace because I'm like, I know he's not gone. I
Yeah.
know he's still right here.
To me, it's like that mirror in Alice in Wonderland. It's like, it's a little flip.
Yes. Yes. So true. Now,
And actually, our loved ones, my experience, our loved ones, they're more available, they're more accessible to us now than they ever were when they were in their physical bodies. And they are so much more powerful as well.
yes.
Though, you know, my experience is my two children and my wife, they're on either side of me, in front of me, in back of me, above me, and below me. And we're this force, you know, we're this team where, you know, it's this continuous union of us working together. I happen to be here on this planet Earth in my physical body, so, you know, we work together.
That is so true. Well, Kyle has said he's very proud of me doing the show. He says he's the co-host. So he has said that. And so true. Kyle was 29 when he transitioned. And from the time Kyle was 18 to the time he was about 27, he lived with friends. He didn't live with me. And I got a call on Mother's Day. I got a call on my birthday. He only lived 45 minutes away. I saw Kyle maybe once or twice a year when he was in the physical, living with his friends, having, you know, living his life. He's like, Mom's okay, I'll call her, you know. But like you said, now that he's in spirit, he's with me, like he's here right now. He's here with me whenever I think of him, which is every day, all day, you know. He's with me all the time. So he is definitely, and I can hear the things he'll say to me when I have a thought. I know exactly what his response, I hear his response in my head. You know, okay. And I'm like, and I always have to tell him, stop laughing at me. You know, stop laughing at your mama.
So one of the things I talk about in the book is the truth that the relationship continues. And it can be as fluid, if not more so, than it was when they were here in their physical bodies. You know, it is ever expanding. It is the back and forth. That's why, you know, when people meet you and when people meet me, they see light in our eyes. They experience joy. They experience love. They experience peace. I'm very aware of the fact that when people meet me, they're also meeting my daughter, Erin, my wife, Trici, and my son, Rory. You know, they get to have a taste of all of us.
Yes, this is so true.
And it goes back to the oneness, you know, the oneness of, you know, it's like, we're not just saying that. No, we really, really mean that.
Yes, that's true. That's true. And the joy, because there's so many parents, especially being now, I'm involved with helping Parents Heal. I'm the affiliate leader here in the Poconos. I went to the first conference. I met so many parents, and so many parents will say to me, I want to get where you are, because they can see the joy. And I'm like, you know, where you, first of all, where you are is already perfect. Now is always perfect. Now is always perfect. And where you are is exactly where you're supposed to be. But it's in every now moment. I love what you said, because I say it all the time. Now is your point of power. Now.
So
right
one
now.
One of my Probably my most important teacher is the author Gary Zukav, who wrote the book The Seat of the Soul.
Okay.
Gary wrote the foreword of my book, and that's a direct quote from The Seat of the Soul. The point of power is the present moment. The present moment is the point of power. But you know what you were saying, Caroline, it's also true of men whose wives have died, women whose husbands have died,
Parents.
Yeah, well,
Even though parents are
it's not,
supposed to go, but still, yeah.
well, there's no such thing as supposed to.
This is true. This is true.
One of the lies that we've been told and that we inhale, it's not true. Parents should not have to bury their children. It's so unnatural for a parent to bury their child. I mean, up until the turn of the last century, 50% of children under the age of 13 died. It's very, very natural. Died, left their physical bodies, made their transition. I mean, we have already established that. But it's not unnatural. It's very, very natural. And when we hold on to that belief, no parent should have to bury their child, we create pain for ourselves.
You're exactly right. I know that my grandmom on my mom's side buried 2 children. One was a baby, one was 3. I think one got hit by a car at 3, and one was just a few months old. And in those days, in our grandparents' days and great-grandparents' day, one of the things, they had a lot of kids because they knew they weren't going to all make it to adulthood. You're absolutely right.
It was the way it was.
Yes.
It was very, very, very common. And I find this really, really interesting that I don't know if we could call the United States a Christian country anymore, but certainly at one point, we prided ourselves on being, this Christian country where we're taught about God, we're taught about Jesus, we're taught about heaven, and we are scared to death of dying. It makes no sense. It's like, why are we fighting so hard to keep everyone in their bodies? It's a total disconnect. Disconnect.
So true. So true. And I have to tell you, because I was sent to Catholic school, never became Catholic. Yeah, okay. I did 6 years of Catholic school, and I'll never forget, never, ever being afraid to die. I truly never did. But I mean, the Catholicism, the dogma of Catholicism, and I right now, I claim no religion, and I have respect for all religion and all beliefs, nothing but the utmost respect. But when I was a child, I was like, wait a second, 5 years old, that doesn't make sense. But I was brought up in a strict home where children are to be seen and not heard. So even though what you're teaching me and what you're telling me makes absolutely no sense, I can't speak on it, as a child.
I think that's a really, really common experience. It's like children know the truth, but they're intuitive enough that they know, I better not say anything. It's not a safe place for me to be authentically who I am. And as children, we want to be loved, so we abandon ourselves. We stick to the program, we stick to the script in order to be loved.
Exactly.
And then as adults, we spend our adult life undoing all that shit.
It's true. Very, very true. Very, very true. So now,
and it's perfect. And that's perfect.
Now what I want you to share with our listeners, because you did go through, at the times of each, you went through 3 major transitions, and at times where how did you come to this awakening that you are now?
So through trial and error, through searching and searching and searching, this is one of the gifts of my life. I would say from 3 to 5 years after my daughter Erin died, after my wife Trici died, and after my son Rory died, from 3 to 5 years, each time, I really did. I wandered through the wilderness. I mean, I was Jesus in the desert, just traipsing and traipsing and traipsing, I resisted life. I hated life. I did battle with what was. And I created so much pain. I created pain on top of pain on top of pain. And the blessing of all of that was there came to a point when I thought, I can't do this anymore. I mean, I can't do this anymore. I considered suicide many, many, many times over those 9 to 15 years, never to the point where you were, Caroline. And I'm really, really grateful for that. I would say the night that our daughter Erin died, I read about this in the book, that night, I laid on the Oriental rug in our living room, and my wife, I was holding her in my arms, and she was just wailing and wailing and wailing. And she finally fell asleep. And I remember just very quietly and in the stillness thinking, I'm going to go into the kitchen. I'm going to grab a knife out of the butcher block. I'm going to stab her, and then I'm going to stab me. And I even went so far as to think, I don't have to write a note because everyone will understand why I did what I did. So I laid there for a long time, and I just thought, yeah, this is what I'm going to do. This is what I'm going to do. And I was just really still. And then this tiniest little whisper goes, or you could choose to live. Or you could choose to live. And I sat with that for what seemed to me months. And I went back and forth. Should I kill her? Should I kill me? Or you could choose to live. So that night, I did choose to live. And that was a decision. I didn't make that just decision once. I made that decision, I'm sure, hundreds and hundreds of times. After our daughter died, after our wife died, after my son died. So I really did dance with, do I stay here or do I go? And because the pain was so great, I was clear. I wanted to remove myself from what was unbearable pain. So the way that I describe it is, I mean, I clawed and clawed and clawed and clawed and I clawed my way out. And like when I got my head up and I looked around, this is where I landed. This is where I am now. For me, I think that the most important question that I've ever answered, and I work with thousands of people. I coach people one-on-one. I have online programs. I do retreats. You know, I give keynote. I mean, I'm fortunate. I work with so many people. The key pivotal question is, and I'm going to use the word God, but I promise you, the force doesn't care what we call it. God, the force, your higher power, the universe, doesn't matter. I'm going to call it God in parentheses. Not the God that hates gay people and not the God that hates, women that choose abortion. Not that one.
Okay.
So I'm going to use the word, God.
Yes.
The question to me is, everything goes back to it. What is God? Everything goes back to that. Everything goes back to it. And for me, I love light. I love warmth. I love the sun. So for me, I visualize moving into the center of the sun. For me, that would be so expansive. I would be surrounded by warmth. I would be lovingly held. The bright white golden light, that's heaven. So to me, I am loved that much. I am loved that much. Everything. I'm loved so much. Everything. Every breath I take, every raindrop that falls on my head, every person that I encounter, every person that cuts me off in traffic, every wrong phone number, every traffic ticket, everything happens for me, not to me, for me. And I completely agree with you. I'm not a victim. I am a conscious or a subconscious co-creator of my experience. And once I got that, it's like, I am so grateful to be alive. What else can I create? What else can I create? What else can I create? I'm so clear. I'm 61 years old. I'm just beginning. I know I have at least 30 or 40 or 50 more years on this planet because I have so much work to do. And I'm so grateful. I'm so excited about what I can create because this is the intention for my life. This is the intention. I've been holding this since 2006. My intention is to transform the way we do grief worldwide, to transform it. I want to teach a new way to do grief, which creates a new way to do life. That's what I'm here for.
Wow.
Isn't that exciting?
That is wonderful. That is so amazing. Because everything you just said, I resonate so much with. Now, I want to share with you, because God, Buddha, whatever, Allah, whatever name, he answers to it all. But
or she, or it, or they.
As it, for me, my term for God is all that is.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
And just like what you said, I know God is in the leaf, in the tree, in the grass. God is there is nothing outside of God. Nothing.
Yes, including the cancer.
Exactly.
That was in my genius son's brain. That is
God. Yes. There is nothing outside of God. And I know that, like you said, the person that cuts me off in traffic, the lady there that cussed at me, because I like to use the word cuss. The lady that cussed at me because she thought I was too slow online, all of that is God. All of it. And to remind myself in every now moment. And I have to remind myself because I'm still here in the physical. So I have to remind myself, okay, that was God. That was God. That was God.
Yes. And it's so clear to me that we came to the planet to learn, or to remember, to learn and remember that we literally are love. We literally are light. That which I described as God, that's who we are. That's what we are. And I want to become that to you. You want to become that to me. So everything that happens to me is an opportunity for me to expand a little bit more, expand a little bit more, expand a little bit more.
Yes. And owning it. That's a big part of it. When we wake up, and I say wake up because we chose to go to sleep. When we wake up to who we are, which is God in the sense that I love Rumi's quote, you are not a drop in the ocean. You are the ocean in a drop. So all that God is in you.
And that is so revolutionary and so threatening and frightening to a lot of people. Yes. It doesn't have to be.
It doesn't. Because once you own it, like you owned it, I am creating this, and I don't even like to use the word co-creating because co-creating to me takes it from the oneness.
It suggests separateness.
Yes, I am creating my life experience. And the beautiful thing about that is we're each all creating our own life experience, meaning my life experience that I'm creating doesn't really even, and it sounds crazy because everything is interconnected and interdependent. We are all God creating our own life experience, which only affects us in the sense on that human level. I know, and I get it up here, and how to put it in words, I'm still working on it because it's multidimensional, and it's like the version. There are many different versions of you, and the version I'm interacting with right now is the version I'm creating.
Absolutely.
And
Yes, everything. Right,
Yes.
correct. But
Yeah.
you know what you were saying, and I hope people that are listening will just, rewind a little bit, because what you were saying, I could feel it in my body, and I could see it on your face. It felt so joyful. And I learned something from you. I agree with it. The word co-creator, that's not accurate. It's not accurate. And I'll be honest with you, I still have this fear of the Christians. And my fear is that the Christians are going to say, how dare you suggest that you are God? What's the safe path is you're co-creating with God. To your point, though, that is not the most expansive truth. So I learned something today, and let me step into it and try to own it.
Yes. Well, I can tell you, I have very few friends. And one of my dearest friends, as soon as I started my show, we were good friends. He was like a brother to me. Good friends for 15 years, because I've had mediums and channels on my show. And because of his Christian background and upbringing, he wanted nothing more to do with me. So
yes. This is my intuition is coming up right here. I want to be really, really clear. Neither Caroline or Tom are saying we don't like Christians. That's not what we're saying. So do not misunderstand us.
Yes, we love, like I said, I have respect. Now I still reach out to him on occasion, just to text him or call him and just say, I love you. I mean, because my beliefs may be different from your beliefs, why there's unity and diversity. That's the truth about oneness. Because first thing I get is, what is this oneness? A new religion? No.
We don't need another religion.
No, we don't. One that includes everything. It doesn't exclude anything, and it includes everything.
Yeah. And you and I talked about this on the bus. The person who's sitting in the Baptist church reading and believing the fundamental literal interpretation of the Bible, that person's us too.
Yes.
Remember?
Yes.
Yeah, that's us too. So I'm not going to hate or judge or despise or push aside that part of me. I'm not going to do that, because I love myself so much.
Yes.
I love all aspects of me.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that is, and even my friend who stopped talking to me, I still reach out to him with love any chance I get. If I think about him, I'm like, oh, let me shoot him a text. Let me call him. Let me just tell him I love you.
Yeah, let me stop for a second, because that's really deep. We're talking deep.
Yes. Yeah, that's unconditional love. Now, here's another thing. We were talking about our Christian. We both went to Catholic school, our Christian upbringing, where they say in church, God is unconditional love.
Except my favorite part of the Bible, God is love. Those 3 words.
Yes, and what does the word I ask this to Christians all the time, and I love you, Christian. What does the word unconditional mean? Yes.
And not unconditional with any conditions from a human perspective. Exactly. Unconditional from the broadest, most divine, expansive. And I think as human beings, we can't really conceive of what that is. We can try, but it's 8 billion times more expansive, more unconditional. But you know what, Caroline? I think if we're really quiet in our heart, we know what that is.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. Because that's where it is. It's right here.
And we recognize the truth of who we are.
Yes.
But we have to be really quiet. We have to be really quiet and allow that part of us to come up. And as humans, we're so afraid of stillness and quiet, because we might encounter ourselves.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But also, as you awaken, and I love, because the thing is, I know it's just a matter of awakening and remembering, like you said, remembering who we are, and it is within us. It's not outside of us, because the outer world, and even I love science now, because science has proven all of this, that the outer world is just a reflection. I remember in 7th grade. I'll never forget, and I share this a lot, that in 7th grade science class, when I was studying molecules and atoms, the science teacher says nothing is truly solid. Right there, we're not even talking quantum physics. We're talking, you take anything and put it under a high-powered microscope, what do you see? You see, first of all these moving particles that are not even touching each other. So it's truly showing that what appears to be solid is not solid. We are living in a dream of our own creation. And in science, all of new modern science has backed up what spirituality and ancient wisdom has been teaching for eons. And why is it not taught every day in modern science classes, meaning quantum physics, the truth that all is energy, and that energy is interconnected. That energy I call love. That energy I call God. And all of it is God.
Yeah.
Why is it not being taught?
We are teaching it. We're teaching it right now.
Yes.
So the great Wayne Dyer talked about, I'm going to paraphrase, but when I'm unhappy with the world as it is, the world as I see it, the world as I'm experiencing it, when the shift occurs inside of me, when the conscious shift occurs inside of me, the world outside of me shifts.
Yes.
To your point that I am a creator, the exterior is a reflection of my interior. I am never, ever, ever a victim.
Exactly. And that's where people start to lose the fear. Okay, I'm owning this creation. So I created it. If I want to change it, I have the power to change it. And so that's where you start to release that fear.
And that's freedom. That's freedom. So Carolyn Mace, who I think is a really, really fascinating teacher, one of her quotes that I love is, "We each determine the speed at which we heal."
Yes.
So to our point, once I integrate what Wayne Dyer is teaching, I don't have to wait a week. I don't have to wait a month. I will determine the speed at which the transformation occurs inside of me, and then everything switches. Everything. I can switch it. We are that powerful. We're that powerful.
Yes. Yes.
And what's important is, when I awaken to the truth that my exterior is really, really painful, that's a really good thing. It's like I should get down on my hands and knees and say, I'm glad that I'm aware, because as we were saying before, I'm aware in this moment, this is the point of power, I can switch it.
Yes. And that's so true about the point of power is, in truth, and Einstein said this, time is merely an illusion, albeit a very persistent one. Time is just a linear tool that we use. Like you said, if I can decide, I could be in the depths of despair right this moment, and decide in the next moment, I'm awake.
And if a listener is going, oh, well, that sounds really nice, how the heck do we do that? Getting back to what you said, energy is love. Zukov says love heals all, and love is all there is. So when I'm in the moment and I realize that my life is a mess, quote, mess, my life is really, really painful, if I take a deep breath and I choose love instead of fear, and I choose peace, and if I just say, I choose love. In this moment, I choose love, I choose peace. If I say that and I breathe that in, and I literally become that, then I've arrived. So it's the title of one of Marianne Williamson's book. The invitation is continually to return to love. Return to love. Return to love. It sounds so simple. Return to love. That's the gift of pain. That's the gift of chaos, the gift of confusion. It wakes us up. It catches our attention.
Yes.
Return to love.
So true. And then in every now moment, because the now is all there is, in every now moment, you have that choice.
Yes.
You have that choice.
Yes. So when I return to love, I become radiant. I become radiant. And this is a segue. The title of my next book is called Becoming Radiant. And it's going to be available on July 24th, which is the day my amazing son, Rory Zuba, came to the planet in 1991. Okay. So that's how I'm honoring and celebrating his arrival this time. July 24th, my next book, Becoming Radiant, a new way to do life. Let me ask you, does that title resonate with you?
Yes, it does. And I bought your book. I had it right. I love it. I said, now, like I said, I know that words, it's not that I didn't think anything negative in the sense, because there is no right and wrong, and there is no negative. It's just that I sometimes like, does that, I just ask the question internally, and then, like I said, it all happened exactly the way it was supposed to happen. I questioned the title in the sense, did it resonate with me? And then the very next night, I heard your keynote. I was like, of course it resonates with me. So it was just a question to the universe. And then I'm like, oh, yes.
And you know what? So I'm really aware of the fact, and I'm really grateful that I'm not stationary. I'm not static. I'm continuing to expand. And this title it's actually a reflection of who I was and where I was in 2014. That's when I wrote the book.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. And where I am, actually, where I am in 2018 is Becoming Radiant. This book is coming out July 24th, but it's like I've already got my eye on the next one.
Yes, I understand. It is, and like I said, and I always even it's just, I always question, I'm at that point where I'm questioning, but also knowing, even in the question, there is no right and there is no wrong. There is no good. There is no bad. It's not this or that. It's this and that, because I want to stay grounded in the oneness. And in truth, God, what we call God, loves the dark, the yin. You remember the yin and yang symbol? The black and the white is equal. And God loves the white just as much as he loves the black, and skin color too.
Not only equal, but necessary.
Yes.
Yes. Valuable, purposeful. What I say, to people that I work with is, in that which we call the darkness, that deep, dark pit, that is particularly where we'll find our version of God. And most certainly, that's where our loved ones are residing. And if and when we find ourselves in that space, allow yourself to be held. Allow yourself to be held by that which you consider the divine, and certainly be held by your beloveds.
Right.
And rest. Rest.
Yes. It is so true. I've also heard that the farther you go into the dark is like the same amount, like everything is balanced and equal.
Totally.
So the farther you go into the dark, you'll be flung into the light just as far, with the balance, because it's all equal.
This is one of the, it's so true. This is one of the gifts of my experiences. Having been in what I would call the deepest, darkest, most hopeless, seemingly bottomless pit of despair, when I did not think I would be happy again. I certainly never thought I would be joyful again. I have experienced joy millions of times, and I agree with you. The joy is in direct proportion to, language is limiting, but to the depths of the darkness, because I don't forget the darkness, and I don't forget the years actually when I didn't think that the lightness would be possible, the joy would be possible. So what you're saying is absolutely true. It's in direct proportion. That's wonderful. And that's really important to remember.
Yes, yes, so true. Because that oneness is balanced. It's always, we call it karma, and the thing is, we think of karma as a negative thing. Karma is just balance, and there's ways. See, we as human think it has to be an eye for an eye. Karma is not an eye for an eye. That if you say, because we create our own reality, so if we say it must be an eye for an eye, then yeah, it will be, because we are saying that. But in just here's an example. For karmic, if we go to the other side and we killed somebody in a lifetime, and we go to the other side and we say, oh, that was not, I need, now I have to be killed to balance that out. Nah, not necessarily. You can save a life to balance that out. You know, there's all kinds of ways on a higher vibrate to bring balance to that situation. So it doesn't have to be an eye for an eye type. Only if you, the creator, says it has to be an eye for an eye. Yes.
Yeah. I've talked with so many people when we talk about reincarnation that say, I don't want to come back. You know, I don't want to come back. I hate being here. I hate being back here. And I assure them, no one or nothing is going to force you to come back. Right. It's exactly what you're saying. It's all rooted in love. It's rooted in love. It will be your choice.
Exactly. And the thing is, we wanted so much. That's the other thing. When we wanted so much to come, to be here. And now we're here, we're like, oh God, where are we here? But we want it. We're like, I want to go, I want to go, I want to go. We were like in the ethers saying, I want to come. And we chose to forget who we are, to come to awaken for, and we each have a unique piece of the puzzle. We each have, there's a unique reason why you are here. There's a unique reason why I'm here. We each are divine, equal, unique pieces of the whole. And the only way the whole comes together if we all bring our puzzle piece to the table. It's like you have this humongous jigsaw puzzle, and we each all have a piece. So if we don't bring our piece to the table, it's incomplete. That puzzle is not complete.
Have you experienced that as you continue to awaken, that your memories actually of the agreements, of the reasons that you came, that they do get clearer, and they do get clearer?
Yes and no. I say yes and no because I'm always analyzing my life, and I'm always looking at every situation and saying, okay, and seeing the purpose for it. But why? So I see the purpose in what happened here in the physical, why it happened, and the good that's coming from it. But why I initially made that agreement, I don't remember. But I know, you know what I'm saying? So I say, so I'm looking at the situations and the outcomes and what's happening here in the physical. And then because I know everything that happens now, I know everything that happens in my life happens for my highest good. So when something happens now that, that was unexpected. But I know it happened for my highest good. I look at it, and then in a short time, I see the good in it.
Yeah.
But to go back to why so that's why I say yes and no, because on the physical plane, yes, I can see the good in everything that has happened in my life and is happening in my life. But why in spirit did I make those agreements? Why in spirit did I chose that way to go about it? I don't have that part of the puzzle.
Yeah.
That's interesting because that's interesting you asked me that, because this has happened a few weeks ago. Something very unexpected happened. And I shared with you on our bus trip that I'm working on my first book. And I've been working on that off and on for the past year. I started Mother's Day of 2017. I was inspired. My son told me in spirit that, Mom, you have a book in you. And at that time, when he said that, it was on his birthday of 2016. And I said, I'm not ready yet. Okay. Then I was inspired on Mother's Day of 2017 to start the book. And I started, and I've been off and on writing the book for the past year. But 2 weeks ago, Spirit said, no, put that book on the shelf. Don't, just shelve it for now, because there's another book that needs to come first. And that happened 2 weeks ago from a situation. I'm like, why did this happen? And that was the download, because the book you're working on now is your second book, not your first book. Yeah.
Okay, so the reason I came to Florida was to go to my niece Sarah's graduation, which is tonight.
Okay.
So I have to get going because
I've totally lost track of time. Well, yes. This has been so amazing. Thank you so much. Yes, speaking to you, I always lose track of time because I love having these conversations.
So how about if we do this? After the second book comes out and I send you a copy of it and you read it, we can chat about that.
Yes, I would love to do that. That would be amazing. Okay, thank you so much, Tom. Oh, please, before you go, you must share with our listeners how they can find you, how they can check out all the wonderful stuff you're doing.
This is the easiest way. My name is Tom Zuba, Z-U-B-A. Just go to my website. It's tomzuba.com. My book is called Permission to Mourn. It's available on Amazon. Yeah, thank you.
Yes. Thank you so much, Tom. This has been amazing. Thank you so much. Love you so much. And we will see each other soon.
Okay. Take care.
Okay. Love you.